All right, so we're going to learn today how to divide fractions, okay? When you're dividing fractions, you have to use a reciprocal and then multiply. So step one, we can rewrite our division problem as a multiplication problem by multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. Now reciprocal means to flip, all right? So we're going to use a reciprocal. That's your first step. Reciprocal. All right? And so we'll rewrite. We have 3/4 divided by 7/2. So we're going to keep our 3/4. We're going to change our division to be multiplication. And then 7/2, we're going to get the reciprocal, which means you flip it. So 7/2 becomes 2/7. So that's all you have to do. You keep your first fraction, you change your division to multiplication, and then you flip your second fraction. So keep, change, flip. That's basically what we call it. All right, so after you flip and change to multiplying, all right, and look what it says. The operation switch and reciprocal must happen simultaneously, which means together. So you change division to multiplication and you flip it together at the same time. So after you do your flip, you go down here to the bottom part, and we're going to multiply. So you take the reciprocal and then you multiply. So to divide by 7/2, we can just multiply by 2/7. Okay, make sure you fill that in. So now, remember we talked about our cross simplification? Again, if the cross simplifying doesn't make sense to you, don't do it. But look on the diagonals. You see the 4 and the 2, they're both divisible by 2. So we can divide both of them by 2. What's 2 divided by 2? Gives you 1. 4 divided by 2 gives you 2. And so now we can actually multiply. So we go over to our third box here. You do 3/4 times the 2/7, and then what do you get? What is 3 times 2? 6. 4 times 7, that's 28. Okay, so we have 3 times 2, 6, 4 times 7, that's 28. So it says you multiply normally straight across the numerators. Remember, that's the top numbers. And straight across the denominators. All right, and then always simplify when necessary. 6/28. Can we simplify that? We can. We can divide both of them by 2. So divide by 2, divide by 2. That gives you 3/14. And so we're done. That would be your final answer. Okay? So all we did, first step, change your division to multiplication and flip the second fraction. So use a reciprocal and then you multiply. Remember, you can cancel on the diagonals if you like to do that. If not, you just multiply straight across. Okay? And then the last part is make sure that you simplify. So a couple little things we'll add in here. So remember to flip it. and then multiply. Okay, and again, these are your doodle notes. So doodle notes, you can kind of fill them in. You know, notice I'm using a colored pencil. They're supposed to be bright and fun and colorful, but we want to make sure we have all of our information down first. So you flip it and multiply. Okay, flip the second fraction and multiply. That's how you divide fractions. And over here, it says we're almost done. Don't forget your last step, which is simplifying. And so let's go think about the y. So if you were going to do 1/4 divided by 2, when you divide by 2, it's the same thing as finding half of something. So think about 4, right? If you want 1/2 of 4, you do 4 divided by 2, right? Okay, and what's 4 divided by 2? It's 2. Well, we've been learning in class, if we want half of something, then we multiply it by that fraction. So 4 times 1/2 gives you 2. And what do you notice? We changed division to multiplication, and then we had the reciprocal of the second fraction. 2, remember that's 2 over 1. When you take the reciprocal of it, you get 1/2. So multiplying by the reciprocal is going to get you the same thing as dividing by whatever that number is. And so with fractions, you always have to make sure that you multiply by the reciprocal. All right? So right here, again, like it says, when you want to divide something by 2, you're finding half of something. And remember that of represents which operation? Multiplication. Got to fill that in. So if we have 1/2 of 1/4, well, what's 1 times 1? It's 1. 4 times 2, that's 8. And if you took 1/4, like you had your circle here, right? And you had a 1/4. And if you cut each of those fourths in half, dividing it in 2, well, then you'd end up with 8ths. So 1/4, it's kind of hard to just divide it by 2, so we have to multiply by 1/2. So instead of dividing 1/4 by 2, we can take half of it by multiplying by its reciprocal. And remember, your reciprocal is just the flipped version of your fraction. Okay, so that's all the things that we need to fill in all the little spaces here. Again, you can go in and color around the edges, color here, or write the little things fancier. But we're going to do a couple more examples. So on the back of your paper, you're going to have these examples. Got them right here. Let's try example 1. We have 8/7 divided by 7. So our first step, I'll switch to a different color here. You keep your first fraction, so you can write keep, change, flip, so you can remember that. So keep your first one, 8/7, change division to multiplication, and then you flip. Remember, 7 is 7 over 1. So if you flip it, you're going to get 1/7. And now we multiply. 8 times 1, that's 8. 7 times 7, 49. And 8 and 49, you can't divide anything from that. So that's your final answer. All right, next one. Keep, change, flip. So we keep the 5/6, change division to multiplication, flip our 2/3, it's going to become 3 over 2. And then we'll just multiply across. 5 times 3, that's 15. 6 times 2, that's 12. We have 15 out of 12. We can reduce. We can divide both of these by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Okay, notice we have an improper fraction. Our top is bigger than our bottom, so we're going to turn it into a mixed number. So I'm going to go to the side. 5 will go in the house, 4 will stay out. 4 goes into 5 one time. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. 4 will not go into 1, and we don't want to make it a decimal, so we're going to stop. So it is 1 and 1/4. That's that example. Now example 3. Chris uses 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar in each of his banana muffins. He has a total of 5 cups of brown sugar. How many muffins can Chris bake? Okay, we have to take our brown sugar and we have to divide it up into groups that are each 3/4 of a cup. So we want to figure out how many groups we can make. So we have 5, our brown sugar, being divided by 3/4. We gotta make sure everything's a fraction. 5, you just put it over 1. And now we keep, change, flip. So 5 over 1 stays the same. Dividing becomes multiplying. 3/4 gets flipped to be 4/3. And now we multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. 1 times 3 is 3. So we've got 20 over 3. Again, that's an improper fraction. So we're going to make it into a mixed number. So we divide. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 3 times 6, that's 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. 3 will not go into 2, so we know we're done. So we have 6 and 2/3. Okay? And so I'm going to give you one problem that I want you to do on your own. And the problem that I want for you to do on your own, so on your own, and again, I'm looking for this in class, is going to be 9/16 divided by 3/4. So you guys have to give me that answer when you come to class. See you later. Bye.